We've got a doozy of fact or fictions for you, starting with, is Nick Boyd maybe, fact or fiction, the most underrated Badger in the Greg Gard era? Let's get into it next.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping make Locked On the #1 podcast network. Appreciate you so much for all the everydayers. We appreciate you. Today's episode, we got our Fact or Fiction coming back. Me and Rajeev, his channel's over at the Buck Report. I'm your host on Locked On Badgers. We are talking hoops. We are talking football, getting your thoughts, Fact or Fiction show. Once again, for those who don't see every Fact or Fiction show, who don't see every episode, we don't tell each other our fact or fictions beforehand, so it makes it a lot of fun. I teased it, Rajeev. I'm going to start here. Is Nick Boyd maybe the most underrated Badger of the Greg Gard era? And let me preface this with a few things first. It feels like we have a lot of shows where post-game people are like, oh, I wish Nick Boyd would pass it a little more, or the Nick Boyd Blackwell thing's not working, or Nick Boyd doesn't have a right hand. It feels like there's a lot of constant, I don't want to say groaning, but a little consistent groaning with Nick Boyd. Do you know he has 15 20-point games this year? Do you know he is, there's only a few players since 2000, listen to this list, since 2000, that have more than 15 20-point games in a season. And Nick's season isn't done. He's going to keep going. It's Johnny Davis, Frank Kaminsky, and Alondo Tucker are the only three Badgers since 2000 who have had more 20-point games than Nick Boyd. And we don't count Alondo Tucker's numbers here. So it's really just two guys.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to say fiction on this. I don't think he's most overrated, mainly because I think Steven Crowell is the most underrated player. Sorry, not overrated, underrated. So there's two names that pop into my head as underrated Badgers in the Gard era. And it's Steven Crowell and it's Demetric Trice. Those are the two players that, to me, I felt like were very undervalued for what they did. You could definitely get the argument that he is the most underrated because of the production he's putting up. But I do think there is, and I'm one of those guys that can be one of the moaners and groaners about some of the things that Nick Boyd does. And I feel like some of it's fair. I mean, yes, he's scoring a lot. He's also taking a lot of shots. He's putting the onus on himself, but he's an extremely good player. He's the star of the team. He's been our bell cow this year. There's no doubt about it. Also, to be an underrated player of the Greg Gard era, he's been here for half a season. So I'm going to still go Steven Crowell as the most underrated player of the Greg Gard era because, I mean, Steven Crowell just is so incredibly underappreciated for what he did. But I totally hear the argument if you were to say fact.
I mean, you're tugging at my heartstrings with Steven Crowell, right? Like, I mean, I'm losing you on audio. I don't know if is that me or you. I don't hear you anymore. Okay. Rajeev says it's him. That is good podcasting right there when we lose audio. I heard most of your point. It's tugging at my heartstrings when you say Crowell. Crowell was severely underrated. But I feel like Boyd, let's just think about this. He's averaging 20 points per game, 5.9 free throw attempts per game, 3.4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. His turnover rate is a career low 9%. I think he's been unbelievably good. And some of the times when we come back and say, I wish he would do this a little more, or I wish he would pass maybe a little differently or use his right hand. If he did those things, he'd probably be in the league. He wouldn't still be in college. Like, he would probably already be in the NBA draft. The reason he doesn't do some of those things is why he's still in college. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess is what I'm saying. He's been tremendous, and I think he is almost laughably overrated considering how good he actually has been this year. But I'm probably with you. I think it is Steven Crowell for the Greg Gard era.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay.
I got you.
Okay. I switched my mic, but sorry about that. Technical difficulties. But yeah, I totally hear that. I mean, I definitely don't want to diminish anything he's done. He has had an incredible season for us, but I think it is definitely more of a personal answer for me because of how much I like Crowell and how I feel like people just dogged on him. And like, people give Nick Boyd the credit that he deserves. And there's some criticism there that may be a little bit overstated, but he is still anyone who thinks of him will still tell you he's the most important player on the team, regardless of what they think of him. A lot of people would tell you Crowell was just not good, which I think is
incredible. It's bananas. And our co-host is one of those guys. So
Yeah.
he's very underrated.
All right, let's get your first fact or fiction. I think we're on mostly the same boat on that one.
Okay, so this is a two-parter, and anyone in the comments, I want you to. It's more of a personal fact or fiction because your first answer is going to dictate whether it's fact or fiction. So here's what this is. I'm going to start by asking you when Luke Fickell was hired as head coach, tell me what in your mind his ceiling was. And if you're listening to this, think about what your ceiling was for him when Luke Fickell was hired. So what is that for you, Ryan? What was his ceiling?
I think looking back at it, I think his ceiling was to get Wisconsin into the playoff discussion.
Okay.
I never thought he was going to come to Wisconsin to win a natty. I mean, we had this discussion. I just think it's so hard at Wisconsin to do that. It wasn't a Fickell thing though. So I thought, get Wisconsin into the playoffs was where I thought his ceiling would be.
So again, it's more of a personal one, but for you, fact or fiction, he can achieve the ceiling that you set for him.
That's a hard one because the playoff is expanded now. Yes, I think it's a fact. If Indiana can get to the playoffs, I think he can achieve that. I think, but again, that gate is so much more open now than it was. I mean, maybe the right answer, considering where the playoff gate was when he came in, is could they be like a top-ish seed in the playoffs, right? Maybe that's the better barometer. And I got to say, I hate saying it, man. I don't think I believe in that anymore as a ceiling, unfortunately.
So for me, my ceiling on Luke Fickell. So the real question is, can he achieve the ceiling that you set for him when he was hired? For me, it was national title, and it is fiction. And that's sad for me to admit, but it is real. I don't think Luke Fickell, look, and I agree he can get us to the playoff because I think a lot of teams can get there, and it's only going to get expanded. It's going to come to 16. It's going to go to 24, whatever. But can he win us a national title? That to me is fiction. I don't think he can achieve the ceiling that I set out for him when he got this job. And it's honestly just because, as good as a coach as I still think he could be, there's way too many just red flags that have popped up throughout in-game stuff and out of game stuff, camp stuff, decision making, coaching, assistant coaches. Like there's a whole litany of things that you can look at and think, is he a national championship coach? Now, the reason that I had that ceiling established for him is because of what he did at Cincinnati, which is a very reasonable. To me, it was a reasonable take to have because he took a mid-major type Cincinnati team, took them to the playoff. They were very good. You put Wisconsin's level of high floor talent with him, it could have translated to national title. But yeah, it's fiction for me, and I hate to really admit that, but he's never going to get it done. And if we're honestly going to be a team that wants to do what Indiana just did, we're going to have to do it with our next coach, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious. Are you good with a coach that you don't think can win a national title at Wisconsin? Is that something that you need in a coach?
I'm good with that situation if he is winning 9 to 10 games a year still. Like we were like with the Barry Alvarez, Brett Bielema, like that whole era, even Paul Chryst to an extent. Like we were very high floor. We were a team that won 9 to 10 games a year. We were going to put ourselves in position to get close. We were never going to win a title. Paul Chryst was never going to win a championship. But I was okay with that because we were always in the top 25. We were always relevant. We had a high floor. If you're not going to be a coach that can win a title, you better have a high floor. That's the trade-off for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think at some part of me, and I'm getting obviously older as life goes on, and I'm lucky enough to get older. Only the lucky ones do. I think I want a coach that I can at least in some realm of possibility think can win a title. And listen, 9 to 10 wins could probably get you in the playoffs once in a while. If you get in the playoffs, you have a puncher's chance, potentially. But yeah, I hear you on that. You can't have a low floor, no title chance coach. But I do think I kind of want a coach that I believe can win the biggest game. And maybe that's the Indiana effect, right? Maybe that's seeing a non-blue blood do it and saying, well, there really aren't excuses anymore because we've seen a school that traditionally has been able to do it through coaching get there. I mean, that's the engine. It's Signetti. I mean, forget everything else. It's Signetti that drives that. So I think I do want a coach that I believe can win a title. And those are really hard to find, but I think that's where I'm at.
this comment from Aiden, would your opinion change if we made the playoffs this year? It probably would, honestly. If he could take us to the playoffs this year, you better believe I'm going to be on that train of, well, why can't he just win us a national title? Because that's a big step. I mean, that would be a huge step. And it would show major coaching prowess and his ability to actually get there. So if he turns it around and goes to playoff this year, fine. I don't expect that to happen. I think we all agree with that. But I'm still going to stick with my fiction on. I don't think he can reach the ceiling that I set for him.
All right, Rajeev, we're going to hit a break. Tease your next fact or fiction. Give us a tease for your next one you're going to hit me with.
This is about, my next fact or fiction is really going to be about one of the recently premier players on our basketball team and whether he really should be in our lineup.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to do that next. Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends at the show over at Mazda.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Rajeev, hit me up with your next fact or fiction. Let's get this.
Okay, so based on recent run of form in college basketball, fact or fiction, Austin Rapp is in Wisconsin's best 5 on the floor. Not necessarily the starting lineup, more like if you're in a game, you need your best 5. Austin Rapp is in that best 5 on the floor. Fact or fiction?
Yeah, dude, I'm running to the store with my money and buying this. I'm buying the shelves out of this. I'm buying everything and putting it in the warehouse. Yes, 100%. I've said this consistently. I know we've gone back and forth through our kind of group of me, you, and Justin. I've said consistently, I think Rapp is a little better defensively than people give him credit for. He's not great, but he moves his feet pretty well for a big guy. He's not a plotter. He's got length. And now that he's starting to shoot it, I just think he's a better player than Bielewskis. It's not a shot on Beals. You need them both. I think they're a nice platoon at the 4. But Rapp, I think, gives you more consistency offensively if he's shooting, which he has started to do. But I just think he's better defensively, man. I think he moves his feet better. I think he's a little longer. You need both. But, yeah, I think Rapp is absolutely in your top 5 right now.
So the counterpoint to that was one of the lineups that we saw a lot of was Braeden Carrington in at the 4, but still having Rhodey in. So you would even say over Rhodey, you think this should be more. So what is that 5, by the way, for you? What does that 5 look like for you?
So yeah, it's a great question. Definitely a little matchup dependent too, right? Like it's hard to say for blanket statement. Michigan State's different than Illinois and Indiana, et cetera. But I think you got the 2 guards, you got Winter. I have Rapp at the 4, and then I hate to cop out here. It's either Rhodey or BC, whoever's playing better, quite frankly. I think you need some more size. I like Rapp at the 4. I've talked about playing small at the 4 at times, but there's just teams you cannot survive, or not Rapp, Carrington at the 4. But there's just teams you cannot survive with Braeden Carrington at the 4. You just can't. So I think against a lot of Big Ten lineups, you have Rapp at the 4, and then it's who is playing better in this moment in this game. Is it Carrington or Rhodey? And lately, that to me, it's been Carrington. Carrington's been playing better than Rhodey through stretches of this kind of streak for the Badgers. So I think that's where I'm at. Carrington at the 3 and Rapp at the 4. How about you?
Yeah, so I think this is fact as well. I like this because I think that Rapp, it's really the defense. Like the shooting is going to be streaky, right? There's going to be games where he shoots poorly. If his defense is poor in those games, that's the Rapp that we had a few weeks ago that we can't have, and that would not be in the best 5 lineup. And then I think it really would be BC at the 4 and Winter at the 5, because I don't think Bielewskis is really in my 5 best on the floor. But for now, I would say it's Rapp, and I agree. It's Boyd, Blackwell. I'm going to say BC, but the other discussion here is I think Rhodey is a really important player. And I know that his numbers are not flashy. And I gave him a game ball a couple games ago, and people were like, oh, I don't know. I think his passing and his vision and his knowledge of the game, it shows that like when you pass that well, when you can do those things, you have the mental aspect down. And I think that's really vital at end of game situations, tough situations. Like he can find space, he can find the open guy better than anyone else on the team. So I think he kind of gets the short end of the stick in this, but I still think for me, it's BC, Rapp, Winter, and then of course the guards, which are always going to be on the floor. But I really hope that Rapp can continue this because I fear that this might just be a flash in the pan and all of a sudden it goes back to he's missing threes and then he can miss the threes, but if he's not playing defense, then he can't be on the court. And that to me is the defining point. It's all about his defense.
I think that's really well said. I don't think the defense is a flash in the pan because it's athletic skills that he moves his feet and he has length, right? Now he has to stay consistent there. I do like your point on Rhodey. I think Rhodey and Beals are important guys. Like neither of us are advocating for don't play them. And the emergence of Rapp and the emergence of Carrington, it just lengthens your bench, which is phenomenal. So now you have 7 or 8 guys that you feel comfortable with and you can mix and match, which is really important. Rhodey, to your point, Rhodey gives you some things within the scheme and the flow of the offense that Braeden Carrington can't do. Carrington is not a come off a pick and roll, make quick decisions like Rhodey. So Rhodey, while the numbers are down, does give you flexibility within the offense to initiate actions on different sides of the court. So both are super important. But if we're going to talk 1 or 2 possessions down the stretch, I just like Carrington's defense out there. I like his hustle. I like his ability to rebound, his ability to hit big shots. He's just been a big time get this year. So I think, once again, you and I are on the same page here. Fact or fiction, Rajeev, the inconsistent play on this team, when by that I mean a team that will go on the road, beat the best teams in the country, and then come home and lose to USC, come home to dig themselves holes against Ohio State, other schools. The inconsistent play is on the players, not the coaches.
Oh, boy. That's a good one. I think honestly, I feel like it's a little of both. I know that's a kind of a cop-out answer.
I'm not going to give you a little both on this one. It's got to be one or the other. All right.
So you're saying it's more on the play. So I would say that it is fact at the end of the day because these guys can do it. Like you can't just put in a performance in a certain game and play with defensive intensity and then, just not have that in another game and not have that consistency. The shooting is always going to be inconsistent, and that's reasonable and it's fine. But the taking open shots is what you have to do. But it's all about the defensive intensity for me. So yeah, it is fact because they have to be the ones to do it. Now I will say there's culpability on the coaching staff too, because I think their manipulation of a lineup sometimes doesn't put us in the best opportunities on the court to be successful, i.e. Jack Janicki getting the minutes that he gets sometimes. Now that seems to be changing. So let's hope that's the case. And sometimes not going small when we need to, right? When there's certain situations where you could put BC in there, starting more offense in certain situations and the coaching of early parts of the game. So I really would like to stay in the middle, but I will say fact because ultimately the players are on the court. But the coaches definitely have culpability here, and I've said that before, and I think that does exist.
Yeah, like all things in life, there's middle ground, right? Nothing is ever 100% black or white, typically. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this is mostly on the players. That I think they get up for big moments, and if you can get up for big moments, then you can also get up for the teams that you should kind of pancake, right? As a coach, and I can tell you this, there's only so much you can do in practice. You're trying to work on a bunch of stuff. One thing you don't want to have to set time aside for is to talk about we got to play harder against teams we should beat. We got to come out and start fast. Yeah, it shouldn't be a conversation you have with a veteran team like this. So I do think it's more on the players. I think, quite frankly, they rise to the moment, but when the moment's not the biggest, they don't get quite as up for it. And I don't think they play quite as hard out of the gate. I think it's mostly on the players.
So here's the counterpoint, fact or fiction, to your question. And here, this might prove the opposite point that we're both making. If Bo Ryan is the coach of this team, are we as inconsistent?
No, we're not as inconsistent. However, no, it's a great point. Let me pull that string a little bit, though. It's a great point you're making. However, we are talking about a Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest ever coach basketball. It's maybe a little different, but I also don't think we have the ceiling. if Bo Ryan's the head coach, because Bo Ryan would restrain this offense. He wouldn't want the quick shots. Nick Boyd wouldn't be scoring 20 points in 15 games with Bo Ryan as the head coach. So yes, we would be more controlled, but that was a function of the way Bo Ryan ran this program, and being more controlled, this offense would not have the ceiling it does under Greg Gard.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the silly things though that we see would get taken away by Bo Ryan. You're right though. We wouldn't be running this offense. Maybe we would. Maybe Kirk Penny would have changed Bo Ryan's mind on how to run offense. I don't know. It's possible. He could have evolved. Come on now.
It was Bo Ryan.
Bo Ryan. That's fair. But I think it does illustrate the point though that like most Badger fans, yes, the way you said it is very right. Like that everything would have been different. But most Badger fans would probably answer that question. Yeah, we'd be more consistent. We'd be playing better. So I think that's where you do have to look at the coaches a little bit and realize that there is some culpability there. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The way we play is because of the decisions the coaching staff has made. So therefore, you've got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, no, it's a really good discussion, and you brought up a really good counterpoint. I just think you talk about, I think we're going to end up kind of agreeing on a lot of this to some degree, but some of the silliness that can befuddle this team, some of that silliness stems from the pace of play and the freedom to play. And those things just get taken away by a control freak coach. So you're not going to have some of that silliness, but you're also not going to have Nick Boyd doing some of the magic he does or some of the big shots that they hit. So I'm not saying one is better than the other, right? Bo Ryan was a Hall of Fame coach, but there's pros and cons on both sides of that. All right, let's take a quick. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to. I know we are up against a break, but I think it's interesting to think about the Nick Boyd thing. Nick Boyd and Bo Ryan together would be an interesting combination because, like obviously Bo Ryan had some really talented guards that could do that kind of stuff. And what would Bo Ryan have really done with him? Like he would have kind of had to let him cook a little bit, like. He let Devin Harris cook. I know Devin Harris is on a different level, but I'm just saying, like, he would let guards cook that could cook.
Yeah, no, Bo Ryan would find a way to use talent. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I don't think you get Nick Boyd here if Bo Ryan's the coach.
That's fair.
It's things like that because Nick Boyd it's just a stylistic clash to some degree. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back. We are going to get a bunch more. We're not going to get to all of our Factor Fictions because I got like 9 of them today. And we're diving into these big time, which is awesome. That's why we're doing the show. I love the show. Let's take a quick second for our friends of the show over at TurboTax. Listen, you don't have to be a tax expert. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to do everything. You can find a local TurboTax expert to take this off your plate because there's so many things you might rather do with your life. I would rather be going to Louis Finer Meats in Cumberland, Wisconsin, the finest meat, jerky, sausage, brat place you will ever find in your life, Rajeev. And it's all over there at Louis. This isn't a Louis ad, but I'd rather be doing that than doing my taxes. So drop your taxes off at your local TurboTax Intuit expert. They're going to take the taxes off your plate, do your W-2s, find all your deductions. They are absolutely incredible, and you don't have to stress it. Right now, for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If the TurboTax expert doesn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate, get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, Rajeev, I'm going to hit you with my next one. You ready for this?
Yep.
Oh, wait, did I just go?
No, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I think I did just go. You take another one. You take another one because I just did the last one.
Okay. So our athletic department, Fact or Fiction, will fire Luke Fickell and pay the buyout if he does not win 7 games next season.
I'm going to say fact if he wins 5 or less. I'm going to say fiction if he wins 6. If he wins 6 and gets to a bowl game, I don't think he's going anywhere. I can tell people aren't going to like that, or some people might be fine with it. I can just tell you what I pretty firmly think is going to happen. If he wins 6 games next year, which to me would be a disappointment, that would be a major disappointment to me. But if he wins 6, that is an improvement in the win-loss record, albeit against a much, much lesser schedule. If they're going to go to a bowl game, I don't think he's going anywhere with 6 wins.
I think it's fact. I think he has to win 7. And I'll tell you why. Because, it's first of all, it's schedule, right? The schedule is far easier. We've looked at it. You can go down the schedule and you can absolutely see a path to 7. But with the schedule that we have, 7 wins means progress. I don't know that 6 wins means a ton of progress has really been made because that means you lost to a couple bad teams. And that's where I think, like, the whole argument was made about the buyout and all this stuff and who investing in the program. Well, if we invested in the program, right? And if we're still seeing 6 wins and we're not seeing 7, 5, certainly he's out. Like, there's just, you can't have that. I think you've got to make real progress, because especially after seeing what Indiana has done, seeing what other programs are doing and how they're taking advantage of this portal era, we need to get on this train quickly, or we're gonna be jumping off and we're gonna be falling in the depths of the Big Ten, which is where we're kind of living right now. And I don't think Wisconsin fans are gonna deal with another year. I mean, listen, people were saying screaming fire Fickell, like there was all this stuff last year. If you have another season where you are losing games that you're supposed to lose, and yeah, it does. You put up a comment on the screen earlier about how the losses are. That's a very fair point, by the way. Like how bad the losses are, who those losses are to, that all matters. But I think at the end of the day, this is year 4. Curt Cignetti won a national title in year 2, and he was in the playoffs in year 1. I'm not saying Luke Fickell's Curt Cignetti, but you have to show progress. And if you can't win 7 games with an easy schedule in your 4th year, it's time to go, buddy. And I just feel like I think they are going to cut him loose if he does not show real progress. And I think progress is 7 games.
Yeah, I think you led into this with kind of where you're at, and I agree with you. I'm approaching it more with where I think Wisconsin is at. And if you look back to last year, a year where it was an abject disaster at points, Iowa murdered us again, and you had programs around the country paying $50 million buyouts, and we were steadfast. Do you really think it's changed that dramatically if he wins another game and goes to a bowl game? I'm with you. I agree with you. I don't think 6 wins is good enough next year, and I think that would be a really alarming season given the money you put into it. I just don't think they're going to move on. I don't think they want to pay the buyout, and I think they would sell it. I don't think McIntosh is going anywhere, and if he's not going anywhere, Luke Fickell's not going anywhere.
And I think they will actually pay the buyout and let him go, because I was approaching that from my own, but also from the school's view, because they kind of put all their chips in this basket. Now they said, we're going to invest in the program. And they did. They invested the transfer portal. They spent more money. And you obviously, in order to do that, in order to spend all that money, you've had to go out and seek more revenue. And there's people on edge, like, okay, we're going to give you even more money, and you're going to show this. You have to show the donors that there has been a jump in progress. So, and I think 6 wins will not show the donors progress. The donors they're going to lose it. They're not going to be able to spend more. And then you're going to see this cliff of dropping revenue that the school cannot ignore. That's why I think the school is actually going to pull the trigger, even if he doesn't get to 7.
I like disagreements on this show, man. Disagreements are always great. I think they make people better, make people smarter. I think this is our first real disagreement on here. Although, me personally, I agree with your stance. 6 wins isn't good enough for me, but I'm not sure the school is there. All right, let me hit you with my next one. Fact or fiction? Wisconsin added enough football talent in the portal this year that the real question is just chemistry and fitting the right pieces in, not the actual talent coming in.
I'm going to say that is a fact, because it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If we're looking for a successful season, maybe 7 wins, for example, I think, yes, they've definitely brought the talent in. This is really about whether the coaches can put it all together and, and develop the right pieces and pull the right strings to make this team operate. Right. So, yeah, and again, I think it's just another sort of dovetailing on my first point here. It's like, this is year 4. You've got to show that you can take that talent and do something with it. You've got a much better quarterback. You've got a good running back. You've got increased line play. Like, you've had time. You've got to fit the pieces in. And I do think the talent is here for this team to be successful, and it's on the coaches now.
I'm fact as well. Yeah, we're back on the agreement train. I think these are also players you're able to pick, right? You were able to, with a bigger budget, you were able to get tier A guys. These are your guys. You went to the grocery store and you picked out the ingredients. That hasn't always been the case. They've sometimes had to go to, I don't know, the secondhand grocery store. I don't even know what that would be. Sometimes they had to shop at the gas station for some pasta. They were able to go to a real grocery store this offseason. These are their guys, their pieces. Money was spent. You have talent here. I do think the biggest question is cohesiveness. It's the coaching staff finding the best ways to use this talent. It's the coaching staff finding the best pieces to put in the right places, which, quite frankly, hasn't always been the case the last 3 years. Just hasn't. So I'm right there with you. I think it's a fact as well.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see what the staff can actually do with this group, though. Right? I mean, We're gonna find out pretty early on in the season. We'll know week 1 when we get to Notre Dame how well this team really gelled.
It's a good point. Mitch says if we don't win 6 games, we won't want to keep Colton Joseph, assuming he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, this is gonna be one of those. How does he look? Right? Like, what do those 6 games look like for him specifically? He might not want to stay. Right? If we're struggling, maybe he looked good, but defensively we're poor because we can't stop the run next year, which is a potential possibility. So there's a lot of factors there.
Give me your next one.
I think you're up.
Oh, am I up?
Yeah.
I love it.
No, I'm up. Go. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction, the next great Wisconsin basketball player will come from the portal.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact because our last 3 seasons, the best player have come from the portal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
AJ Storr, John Tonje, Nick Boyd. Those have been the best players on the team. I mean, even this year, I would say maybe Nolan Winter, but yeah, that's just kind of where basketball is right now. And if we're going to continue to invest, hopefully, even in the basketball program, we're going to get them out of the portal. Yeah, that's fact.
I want to say fiction, right? Because I look at a place like Illinois, who obviously they augmented the portal, but they get some real stars out of high school. I still think Wisconsin needs to recruit in state. They need to get the high school kids with upside. I think that's the way you afford this. Look at this roster right now. Nolan Winter and John Blackwell. You have those guys in the fold because you found them out of high school. It's really hard to go pay guys like that. Are they going to find a next guy like that? Could it be Ball? Could it be Hayden Jones? Could it be Garlock? I don't think it's going to be those guys. Could it be Fenderson, right? The in-state kid. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a fact that the way Gard has attacked the portal, he has found just studs. And I hope he's able to continue augmenting in the high school ranks. That needs to happen. But I agree. I think the next star for the Badgers that isn't on this roster right now is going to come from the portal.
Because I also think that, listen, the Winter Blackwell thing is real, but we developed them, we kept them, we're paying for them. How easy is it going to be to keep a guy that maybe you got out of high school? Like, let's say we would have gotten Keaton Wagler, like Illinois got, picked him out of nowhere. Like, maybe that he is a star, but he's gone right now at this point. And even if he doesn't go to the NBA, he's going to go somewhere. Well, he'll go to the NBA. But if we have a guy that's really that good that we think could develop into a star, are we going to be able to keep him with our financial issues when it comes to basketball? Or is Kansas or someone like you were just going to go pay them a lot more money? So there's that element of it as well.
Louisville, Jordan Taylor. Fact or fiction from the community. The Badgers will have a running back get 1,000 yards and a receiver who gets 700 yards in the same season. Now, he doesn't say this season. He just says the same season at some point in the future, right? At some point, it's going to happen. How about this year, Rajeev? They get 1,000-yard running back and a 700-yard receiver. I'm going to sell this. I'm fiction, and it's the receiving part for me. I think Sama could get $1,000. I think he could get you $1,000 on the ground. I don't trust any. I trust no receivers in this room right now. That's not to say nobody will step up. I have no clue who would get you 700 yards, honestly.
I mean, I want to say that a guy like Hilton can. I know you disagree with me on that one, but I think that, I mean, I would say fiction on this too. I don't really feel like we're going to have that 700-yard wide receiver. I think we're going to have a good spread as far as our catches and our yards go next year. I think Joseph's going to sling the ball quite a bit. I could see him throwing for 25, 27, 2,800 yards, no problem. But I don't think 700 of that is going to one person.
Yeah.
All right, let me hit you with my next one. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the student section at the Kohl Center, and I saw something today on Twitter that was like, Wisconsin's one of the toughest places to play in America. I was like, I love Wisconsin. I've been a fan for 25 years, but I don't know if that's true. Nonetheless. So, fact or fiction? The Wisconsin Athletic Department will change the format of the student section, the physical format of the student section at the Kohl Center.
I think it's a fiction. I just don't see. I would love it, man. I get so jealous of seeing some of,
Illinois.
Unbelievable, right? Michigan State, Nebraska. Like, these are unbelievable basketball venues. And then zoom out nationally, Kentucky and Duke and some of the Kansas. Kansas is incredible. Arizona's great. I wish they would. I understand there's reasons they don't. unless you've heard something that I haven't heard recently, I think it's a fiction. I think I'm selling it.
I think it's fact only because, and I don't know anything. I just feel like there is, what I do know is that a lot of people are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the school is going to be a bit reactive here. They should have done it a long time ago. Maybe they won't. They still won't, which is a humongous mistake because it's not difficult to make this change. But I do think they are going to do it. Now, the one counterpoint to that is they can't physically change a lot of it. I would love for them to like get rid of some seats and put like standing type things like Duke has. But with our hockey, you got to keep both sports able to survive in there. So it would have to simply just be moving the students around the court and then being on one side. Like Illinois is a great example. There's just fantastic. One behind one basket and the entire side of the court that the television faces, right? That's not a difficult thing to do. I do think the school is getting pressure from from fans, from donors. I think there are people that are like, this could be a more difficult environment, especially as we have traveled to several places in the Big Ten this year that have really good environments. Ours kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So I do think they're going to change it because there's pressure to do it.
I think I hear you on all that. As usual, Rajeev, well-spoken, well said. We've been talking about students showing up to the Camp Randall late for 10 years, and there's been pressure, and there's been discussions, and there's been frustrations, and there's been campaigns, and people publicly from Barry Alvarez on down talking about it. And it doesn't feel like that's changed.
But they're trying, and I do know that.
I know they are trying.
I've had conversations with the university in detail about what they're doing. So they know it's a problem. They just are trying to work with the right parties to get it fixed. That's one of the reasons I think they're going to do it on the basketball side, because that is not a difficult thing. Like, they can make that change. It's just going to be about taking the time to move all the wealthy ticket buyers that are in those spots and get them in the right spots where they're happy. And then I think they do it. They don't want, believe me, they do not want the football thing to be the way it is. They are desperately trying to change that.
I would love it. I'm right there with you. Mike says, fact or fiction, Ryan drinks more than 2 IPAs when we shocked the world and beat Notre Dame. 2? That's where you're setting the line?
Can I set the over and under at 9, please?
Bro, we beat Notre Dame. Fact or fiction, Ryan's not going to wake up for 3 days. Like, let's be real here. 2 IPAs.
Ryan will not pick that, but I am telling you right now, I'm going to be picking that as a win because I am all geeked up about that game already. Lambeau's got magic, man. Let's not discount the Lambeau magic.
Dude, I love it. Let me see if I got any other ones here. Here's my other one. We may end on this. We're not going to get to all mine, which is fine. And I want to get a couple quick listener comments in here. Fact or fiction, Rajeev? A Big Ten regular season title, especially given what this league is now, with some of the new schools and what Michigan is and Illinois, Nebraska, a Big Ten regular season title is on equal footing to a Sweet 16 run.
100,000% fact. That's not. I would argue that it's up to an Elite 8 even.
I was going to set it at Elite 8. I didn't want to be greedy.
Yeah, no, I would take an Elite 8. Final Four, no. Final Four is where I would draw the line there. But dude, the Big Ten regular season, and forget the tournament title. I don't care about that. The Big Ten regular season title is not talked about enough. Let's look at the league right now. Look at the standings. Let me tell you something. I was texting Ryan during the Northwestern Michigan game tonight, and Ryan was rooting for Michigan. He said, "Come on, Michigan." And I almost responded, and I was like, well, I do want Michigan to win because we beat them, and it helps our win total. But a part of me still has this dream of, well, if Michigan loses, we're only 2 games out of first place in the conference. I mean, but the point is, that's the dream. Like, and listen, Badger fans know. I mean, I rushed the court for a couple. I stormed the court for a couple Big Ten titles when I was in college, and that was awesome. Like, there is nothing like winning the Big Ten championship. I celebrate that more than I celebrate almost anything in sports. I'm not kidding. I buy every shirt. I've got them all upstairs. Every time we win a regular season title, it means so much to me, because anytime you have league play like that, it's just there's not an unbalanced schedule. Yes, he played 3 teams twice. Yes, I understand it's not fully balanced, but it's pretty damn close. And it means so much. It's such a gauntlet. And to win that league is everything. I put it on par with the Elite 8.
Man, sometimes you and I are just vibing. We just vibe on such a frequency that's amazing. Because yes, I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the Elite 8, but you and I have talked about this a lot. The Big Ten regular season title is an incredible accomplishment. It's a grind. It's grueling. You have to be so not good, dude. You got to be so consistently good to win a Big Ten regular season title. To me, it's easily on par with the Sweet 16. And I know there's going to be people in the comments and chat. They're going to say it's nonsense. It's all about March, and you got to make the run, dude. A run can also happen in the middle of the basketball season, right? When you're going to all these road venues and you're knocking off big time teams, and it's tough game after tough game. I love Big Ten regular season titles. I think they're incredible. I also agree with you. The Big Ten tournament, I don't care. I'm almost at the point where I just want to rest guys. I don't want anybody to get banged up. I don't care at all. But I'm right there with you. I wouldn't put it at Elite Eight, only because there is some magic involved. If you're one of the last 8 teams in the country, right? You are a game away from the Final Four. There's a certain type of anxiety and anticipation that comes with the chance to play for a Final Four. But to me, it's right below that tier, and it's easily on par with the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would take a Big Ten title and losing in the second round. I would take that. I'm not gonna scoff at that. Yes, over time you do need to advance. Like, there is something to that. I'm not saying that can happen every year, but that just means so much to me. And Big Ten basketball just in general is great to watch. Like, I was watching that Michigan Northwestern game tonight. Northwestern, that's how tough it is. Northwestern sucks. And like, Michigan was on the ropes. They were down 15 points. They had their largest deficit of the season against Northwestern today. They came back and won, but that's tough. Like that, a lot of teams would have folded right there. It's because Michigan's probably going to win the Big Ten championship, as they should. They're the best team. But that's what makes it so special. And those titles that we won with Bo Ryan, holy cow, man. Wow, that gives me chills just thinking about those titles. I love it.
And even harder now. Yeah. JV says he's on the other side of this. Big Ten title means nothing. Sweet 16 is so much better than 25-5 in a first round loss. That's the worst take ever, forever, ever. I love JV, man. JV is such a good dude. That's not even close to my worst take ever. I mean, go back and watch a show of me talking about Gus Yalden, or I have way worse takes than that, JV.
I had a take that said we were going to lose by 30 against Illinois yesterday. So I was very wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong about that.
That was a very recent take.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish up here. A couple quick ones here. Mitt James, fact or fiction? I'm gonna turn this into a fact or fiction. Fact or fiction? Blackwell and Winter are both here next year.
I kind of think this is a fact, because I don't think Blackwell is ready for the NBA. I think that's kind of been proven this year. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else, because again, like, he's had a good season, but he hasn't had an NBA ready season. Winter maybe, but I also feel like Winter understands that, in my opinion, his game can be further, his future professional career can be enhanced by yet another year of getting stronger and playing inside more and developing his college game. I think they're both here next year.
I mean, Thomas Miller says fact, which I would love. I mean, let me answer my heart first. Yes, I would love this. It would be incredible. I think it's fiction. I don't think you're going to get them both back. And I think there's a better chance you get neither back than you get both back, unfortunately. I do think Winter, if he continues to play like this, I've already seen him creep into some mock drafts towards the latter half of the into that second round, maybe late first. I've already seen him creep in there. I think he's going to go to workouts if he wants to. I know the one thing I don't know about Winter, I don't know if that's a big driver for him. Everybody's different, right? And you can pay players now, you can make money. If the NBA is a big driver for him, I could see him testing those waters and being a late first, early second round pick and going. The thing with Blackwell, I don't think the NBA is just going to be in the cards with the way he's played this year. But we've seen it with a guy like Chucky. I'm not saying I've heard anything. I haven't. But there could be a school that just comes along and says, we're going to give you $3.5 million. And Wisconsin's not going to match, I don't think, at the highest levels of it. And he's not an in-state kid. He's not from Wisconsin. After 3 years here, he may just want to go to a blue blood and try to win a title. But again, I want to be super clear, though. That's not me reporting that or hearing that. That's just kind of what my gut's telling me.
Fair point. But I feel like, do you think that his play this year is warranting a blue blood to pay that much money for him?
Oh, yeah. I do. I very much do. He's a 3-year contributor, multi-year starter, 20-point per game guy. I mean, AJ Storr got Kansas got AJ Storr. Blackwell's better than Kansas. AJ Storr, Kansas came in and said, we'll give you $1+ million to come start. And Blackwell's a much better player than AJ Storr.
Yeah, and that's fair. I do also think that it looks at like how this season ends and where we finish the season. Is there going to be a drive for those guys to be like, hey, let's run it back and try to get to a Final Four? Because then like you really could see if both those guys come back next year, you're like, geez, like we really could make a run at a Final Four. So I think that might play into it as well.
I hope so. And nothing would make me happier than, and let's finish off this year. But having them both back next year would be insane. It'd be incredible. If you could build around those two guys, nothing would make me happier. But I think that the Chucky Hepburn thing, it left some scars, man. And now it's just like, you never know. Like Hepburn was all Wisconsin. Like he loved the place. He had the tattoo. Like he wasn't going anywhere, man. And it's like, he went to Louisville, right? That great basketball school, but dude, nothing will shock me anymore. And I just know there's going to be, if those two guys aren't going to play professionally in Europe or NBA or whatever, there will be schools that come in and say, we'll give you whatever you want, right? And we probably can pay more than Wisconsin. That's just this is where we're at in college basketball. So I hope they're back. Nothing would make me happier. I don't know, man.
I wonder if there's any part of Chucky Hepburn that regrets that move based on the fact that we made the changes offensively with Kirk Penny that we did after he left, right? Because maybe he wanted to leave because he didn't like the offense and he wasn't doing it. But with the Kirk Penny offense, boy, he could have cooked last year and this year. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point too. This season could end in a way where both Blackwell and Winter, who have built a legacy in Wisconsin, could say, man, we could come back one more year and maybe really take this thing over the hump. And that could very likely and possibly be what happens. And again, I would be thrilled. I would be absolutely stoked for it if that's what happens. But that is an off-season conversation. We got a title to win this year, Rajeev, which I know you and I are both predicting at this point. Any last thoughts? Is there any other thing you wanted to hit on before we roll out?
No, man, I think we got everything. I went through all my factor fictions. Always fun to do this show and always fun to get the community involved. So yeah, put your answers in the chat, even if you listen to this later. Very curious to see what people have to say about our factor fictions. I'm
going to give you my lightning round factor fiction because I didn't get to all mine. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
You just give me a quick yes or no factor fiction on these. Factor fiction, the quarterback room is going to be good enough that game manager will actually be an insult.
Fiction.
Okay. Factor fiction, the Big Ten is tougher now, but Wisconsin's style and approach is actually more tournament proof than it used to be.
Fact.
Okay. Factor fiction, Wisconsin's current identity in basketball is what will continue going forward. We have seen the last of the 7-foot back to the basket post-up players for Greg Gard.
Fiction.
Okay. Love it.
We should do a show to break all those down because those are good ones.
Those are good, right? I had like 9 of them. I went overboard, guys. I went overboard.
I love it.
All right. On Wisconsin, he is Rajeev. Go check out both him and Justin on the Bucket Report. Continue checking out here. Thank you for all the everydayers that are always in this channel, always watching this show. I don't know if you saw Rajeev. Locked On put out a tweet. This is my 4th year at Locked On now, like officially. So that was really cool of them. It's been a ton of videos and a ton of people and a ton of community.
That's a lot of shows for 4 years, man. I've been with you for like 3, but that's a lot of shows.
Yeah, I mean, I have done. People probably don't realize I've done 5 to 6 shows every week for 4 years. Whether I've been traveling, sick, on work, like
so you're probably up to close. You're over 1,000 at this point.
Oh yeah. So it's been humbling and awesome. And one of the best parts about it is meeting people like you. Like honestly, you and I have become just great friends through this community. Forget the show stuff. Like if this ended tomorrow, you and I would still be. I mean, we'd be bros for life. So That's been the best part of it. And everybody else in the community and chat on Wisconsin. And we will definitely talk tomorrow.